Welcome to the Kind Leader Podcast, where empathy meets action in the world of leadership. Your host, Gino Degregori, engages with innovators and seasoned professionals from diverse sectors, all demonstrating the power of leading with kindness. And now, your host, Gino Degregori.
Welcome to the Kind Leader Podcast. I'm your host, Gino Degregori. Today we have another amazing guest with us, Nehemiah Cerritos, also known as Nemo. He is the Chief Growth Officer for Great Tier Technologies. I've known Nemo for more than 4 years now, and always have treated everyone, with respect and care. He leads by example in everything that he does on the business front as well as the personal side. Always been impressed in how he is as a human being and how he wants to make an impact here in this world. I am looking forward to learning more about him and to share his story to our audience. And he truly is a kind leader. So welcome to the podcast here, Nemo. Please tell us about yourself and go as far as you want to this, to tell us your journey, how you got here.
Awesome. Well, buenos dias. Good morning, Gino. It's an honor to be here. My name is Nehemiah, but since 8th grade, it's been Nemo. So for those that know me, you can call me either Nehemiah or Nemo. I was born and raised in El Salvador. I lived there till I was 10 years old, and my mom and dad migrated to the United States for a better future in the early 1990s, and I stayed in El Salvador with my grandmother on the mother's side, and she gave me the best childhood I could have ever asked for. I lived with her and my aunt and uncle until I was 10, and when I was 10, my parents reached their American dream of getting that legal status and bringing us over and reuniting us. In 1999, we came here to Northern Virginia, and I had a dream to be the first in my family to graduate high school, graduate college. Little by little, those dreams became a reality through hard work. And then I knew I wanted to do something different and make my grandmother and my parents and change the direction of future generations for my family. And therefore I got into government contracting and, 12 years in this industry. And now here I am. So proud Salvadorian, flipping tortillas in the government contracting world.
I love that. When I first heard that flipping tortillas, I'm like, who is this guy, man?
It's definitely those that know me or those that get to know me hear that within the first 5 seconds. This was probably 10 seconds in, but right. Flipping the tortillas.
Well, amazing story. And, I'm sure your parents are proud for everything that you've done and what you've accomplished, since 1999. It's been 25 years, I guess, right?
Yeah, so 1999 to today.
You and I share a similar story. I was actually, I think I shared this with our audience, but I was born in Peru. Came here and I was 10 in the early 1990s as well, with my family, my dad, my mom, and my sister. And, and same like you, this is the land of opportunities.
Absolutely.
Right. And we've been able to live the American dream and really take advantage of the opportunities that are available to people. Right.
Absolutely.
And the biggest thing that I appreciate about you and how we've raised is the respect and how we treat others, how our parents taught us that, right?
Yeah.
That we can be successful without having to be ruthless or mean or anything like that, right? So I was really looking forward to having you here on the podcast to talk a little more about that. But great story. One thing that I wanted to also know is, can you share a story about what influenced you or what from a kind leadership perspective, right? Whether you were somebody else was kind to you.
Yeah, I think I'm blessed with, stories my whole life on various opportunities where people have shown, their kindness towards me. But one definitely stands out. And it was actually a week ago, on March 1st, when I got promoted to Chief Growth Officer. Nice. The opportunity to my current CEO and boss to give me that chance to become my company's first Chief Growth Officer. That was very impactful. But what happened after that is really what really got back to me, and it was like, oh my goodness, here I am, and this is real. But it made me want to believe it, like I deserve it, type of thing. And it was a text. I received a lot of text messages and a lot of phone calls and a lot of congratulations between partners, companies, and co-workers and friends. But I received a handful of messages from former employees.
Oh wow!
And one of them really stood out of a current employee, actually, and I would like to read that.
Yeah, please.
It says, Nemo, I wanted to reach out to you to personally congratulate you on your promotion to Chief Growth Officer. I'm really happy for you and for Belky, my wife, and the girls. I have 2 girls. This achievement was well-deserved and a testament to the work that you've done with and on behalf of Greatier. Your attention to detail, tenacity to get things done and done right, and your drive to speak to excel personally and professionally speak for themselves. However, the quality that I most appreciate and what I believe sets you apart from most other people, especially in business, is that you care and you approach business and people with a personal human touch. Congratulations again, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Beautiful.
What I loved so much about that, it was that I always tell people that I'm a reflection of those people that helped build me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reading that message and I think of my mom, I think of my dad,
Mm-hmm.
I think of my grandmother, I think of my brother, I think of my aunts and uncles and my cousins that helped me be who I am today. And how do I answer that is by saying that wherever I go, I'm a reflection of them. And what people think about me is what people think about those that spent time and nights and years helping me be who I am today. So it just reminds me that I got to keep going and I got to keep being this nice human to be able to help others achieve their goals and dreams. And in doing so, I'm believing in myself and I'm achieving my own goals as well.
Absolutely. You said the key word, believing in yourself, right? I think it starts right there. I think a lot of folks, and very much, thank you very much. That's a great story. And that's an amazing text, by the way. It is a reflection on truly who you are as a kind human and also a kind leader, right? Because you've led people and you've made an impact. To me, a lot of times it is about doing the things that we need to be successful to help our family, right, ourselves and live in this world. But most importantly is the impact that you make on people's lives.
1,000%. Yeah.
You know, and those texts mean a lot. Like you have changed many lives. You've provided advice, even to me, right? As we were getting into the recruiting side several years ago, right? You would always say, "Hey, how can I help?"
Yeah.
Right. We weren't even working like, you know, we partners and stuff like that, but you were always there to provide, to give, to always to contribute. Right. And that's a key component into a lot of the key kind leaders that I've interviewed is they care and they're genuine about wanting to help.
Yeah, absolutely. I love helping others because I want to, I don't know everything, you know, but what I do know is that I love helping others, and the little knowledge that I have, I want to share it with others because I always tell my friends and my wife and everyone around me is I am not successful if those around me are not successful. Mm-hmm. And that's, I believe it, whether it's at work, on a soccer team or in family. Mm-hmm. And that's why when you really get to know me, you know that I pull my brother into this industry, my best friends and my best friends' wives and kids and all of this, right? So that's because I genuinely want others to do better and be better than the day I met them.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. So with that mindset that you have, that I call it a growth mindset as well, right? Compared to scarcity mindset. Because it's what you're trying to do, and you've been doing it very successfully, is rising together. You're not just about what can Nemo gain from this experience, right? It's what we can do to collaborate and bring everybody up. So rising together. So as you elevate, everybody elevates right with you, right? 100%. Because we're all, you know, it's the human experience, I call it. Yeah, you come to this world, and it's such a short time. And what do you choose to do is what makes a difference. Yeah,
absolutely. When I was younger, I heard this quote. I don't know who I got it from or who said it, but it goes, if you are not making someone else's life better, then you are not truly living. Mm-hmm. And I was young. I think I was in like middle school or high school when I listened to this, and I was like, wow. You know, I and to this day I still remember that. But it's growth, it's growing, and it's not being a victim of whatever circumstances come to you. It's being able to take the mistakes, take your weaknesses, and make your weaknesses your strength. Mm-hmm. You know, I always say I use my weaknesses as my strength. I you know, many years ago when I started learning English, my accent was my biggest weakness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when I started in this industry, I was talking to top executives and people, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw in my Espanol and I'm buenos dias. Every email, every interaction, buenos dias. It makes me who I am.
Exactly.
You know? So
you know what
make that connection.
You know what truly comes out when you are is the genuine self, right? Your genuinity, right? It's what holds people back. Yeah. Because what I've experienced is when you're not genuine, you have a facade essentially, and I've experienced this, right? When I was young too, coming out as soon as I graduated college, I never saw myself as minority. It's like I'm just as good as anybody else. But what I did see and was self-conscious about was my age, because I was moving up and interacting with older individuals, right? They're like, oh, these guys know they've been in the industry for 20, 30 years, right? I'm just coming up, right? I don't know much, right? And that's what held me back, is judging and not believing in myself. That kind of created that almost like, I want to say, it's not scarcity mindset, but it's like holding me, limiting belief from that perspective, right? Compared to you, you saw that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
You're like, let them know who I am. And then that cuts through the genuine, like when you're truly honest and you are who you are, people appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I remember, thank you for sharing that. And it brought me back with my former company. I went to my very first meeting by myself. No manager with me, and I went to represent my company on this big proposal we were going after. And I'm sitting there, and they looked at me, and everybody, like you said, everybody was, very experienced and seniority. And here I am, a kid from Zapotitan, El Salvador, and I'm sitting there. And then they asked me, "Oh, you're the intern for XYZ company?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. If I'm an intern, I'm an intern. Yes, I am." And then they started talking about the project. And I had been leading this project on my company side for a long time. And I started answering the questions and giving them ideas. And they're like, "Wait, are you real? How do you know if you're the intern?" And I was like, "I'm not the intern. I'm actually the account manager." But again, it's that I didn't. If you want me to, if you believe I'm an intern, I'll be an intern. Right, but at the end of the day, is what I bring to the table. Exactly. I'm here for it.
And that's the growth. I want to pull on that thread, because that's the growth mindset where you see that as opportunities. Because I think if you would have been, you had a different perspective or attitude, it would have been like, oh shit, they see me as you felt inferior right automatically, right? Yeah. It would have brought you down, but it didn't. No, you're like, okay, thanks. That's how you see me. That's great. But here's what I contribute. So that is, as the audience listening, right? That's a huge component that I definitely want to highlight, because it's how you see this world. It's not how people see you, but it's how you see yourself in this world that's going to keep you driving.
I always say, no one can stop you but yourself. Mm-hmm. And I was just talking to someone last night, and I was like, if you don't believe it, no one else is going to believe it. And I believe everything. I speak it into existence, right? And I believe in myself. And you got to be careful, because you can't get too self-centered or conceited, right? But there's a difference, right? I believe in myself, and I believe I can do it. And if I fail, I get back up, no matter what.
Yeah. But the addition to that, right? What makes 1 + 1 = 2 from believing in yourself is humility, right? Yeah. Because when you cross the line of, I'm good, I know everything, I don't need anything, right? Yeah. You listen to me because I have all the that is what throws people, that leadership starts going into the wrong direction, right?
It collapses.
But the kind leadership is not only, believing in yourself, but also being humble.
1,000%. Taking on to what you're saying about being humble, I think my definition of a kind leader goes in being a comfort zone, being someone that you can go to and they find comfort. If I make a mistake, I can go to my leader and I can let them know about my mistake, because I know that I'm not going to get yelled at or made fun of, or whatever the case may be. I'm going to have that comfort, but simultaneously be motivator. Yeah. You find comfort within this leader, but then he or she motivates you to do better and look at the situation and want to bounce right back. And throughout my years in college and high school and in my young days when playing soccer, I always wanted to be that person that people could come to. Yeah. And I wasn't the captain at the time of my soccer team, and I wasn't a chief growth officer, whatever. Your title means nothing. Right. Is your personality and what you portray to others. I want others to feel comfortable and come to me. Hey man, I messed up. All right, what was the messed up? Let's look at that. Hey, I know you can do better. Let's do better, and push them to that next level. So a comfort zone, and then being able to motivate as well. Yeah.
And that comfort zone is also built upon not you being genuine, but also the trust that you've built. Yeah. Right. because they see that and they feel that energy coming from you.
Yeah.
It's not only, hey, you can come talk to me, right? Because people say that all the time. Open door policy. You can come talk to me all the time. But when the time comes, they're like, oh, no, I don't have time right now. Come meet me some other time. But I'm sure people come to you, hey, I need something. You're right there. You're right there and, provide that support.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to like the times when you were talking about recruiting with you, right?
Yep.
It's like you could come to me, I would be there, but then I would also, my expertise or the experiences that I've had, because 90% of those conversations were, Gino, this is the mistakes I've made.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't make those mistakes.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, that's definitely some of the ideas that help you keep moving forward.
Absolutely. One thing as we were talking is, you talked about El Salvador, actually, as you know, I've been there twice now and, really enjoy the country, right? Really have met a lot of amazing people, not only people here, but just the people over there and how amazing it is, right? And so we'd love to pull that thread right now and talk a little bit about that. Coming here in 1999, now going back, and I know you've been going back and forth. Let's talk about impact, right? Because you've made a lot of impact in people's lives here, and as you've risen throughout your career. But I know you're a kind leader going back into the country. So tell me a little bit more about that. I really would like to know what you're doing over there and how you're trying to impact and change lives too.
Within 5 seconds, you know my name, and then the first thing that comes after my name is I'm from El Salvador. And I am so proud to say I come from one of the poorest towns of El Salvador, Zapotitan, because I know that it reminds me of no matter where I go, you always have to remember your roots. You have to remember where you come from, because your path is really what defines you.
Yep.
Coming from where I come from to go. But then many come out from where I come, but forget to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I've always gone back, and I thank my mom and dad for letting me go back, because I also know friends that their parents said, forget it, right? But what I'm trying to get to is when I came here in 99, I missed my grandmother so much, and I didn't want to eat. I could care less for toys. I just wanted to go back. Wow. And my mom and dad said, look, we're here now. We're starting a new chapter. If you do well in school, at the end of the summer, at the end of the school year, beginning of summer, you go to El Salvador with your grandma and cousins. And that's say no more. I did it. I learned English. I started getting good grades. I focused on school, and I would go back. But I would notice I was 11, 12, 13, I noticed that I had a bed. I had a roof. I had food. I had everything in the United States. And I would go back and I would see friends that didn't. Mm-hmm. And I started realizing, wow, I want to make a difference. Mm-hmm. I want to do something different, right? And that's where this idea of helping out others in El Salvador came from. So through the years, in 2011, a year before I graduated college, I started an idea of connecting families in El Salvador that are in need with families here that are willing to bless others. Okay. And little by little, it started with 1, 2, 3 families to now, from 2011 to today, helping out across 10 of the 14 states in El Salvador. And we take kids off the streets. We take kids that are not able to get an education, and we sponsor them. Mm-hmm. And they get an education. This last December, Genesis is one of the most success stories that we've had, because we took her from 5th grade. We took her and supported her starting 5th grade. Yeah. One sponsor, and to this day, Amber's still sponsoring her. And she just graduated college. Wow. First one in her family in her hometown that would never. And I remember the day she messaged me in December. I'm very emotional too, right? I'm a very emotional guy. She messaged me and she sent me this beautiful message and saying, I wouldn't be here without you. And I look back and I was like, I just made the connection. Right. Amber and her support have really, and she did the hard work of studying and exams and everything. But that's just one of the examples of what we've done in El Salvador with the kids down there. We've helped rebuild schools. We've in 2021, I donated my hometown's very first ambulance. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Thank you too. Great Tier for helping me make that a reality. But it was a personal goal of mine. So we do scholarship programs. We innovate with physical education programs. We built a a science lab, and I get like a little shy about this because their way of thanking me is naming things after me. So like I have a science lab in my hometown of Ciudad Arce that's called the Nehemiah Cerritos Science Lab.
Wow.
Where kids get an education, but not just kids, adults as well. You know,
That's
so
amazing.
yeah. And then the last project was there's multiple projects, but the one that I'm most proud of right now is a clinic. So we helped sponsor a clinic in my hometown through first responders over there, and we just helped them build out this clinic, and they named it after my grandmother, who just recently passed in last May, in honor of everything that we've been doing. So it's a free 24/7 clinic where they have the basic things to take care of people, and on average it helps about 200 or 230 people a month. Free, all free of charge. And I'm just being able to bless my town. So a couple of things that we've been able to do through this help of others, and being able to make connections and going back to my hometown.
That is amazing, Nemo. I mean, the things that you've been able to do is not just giving, right? Because there's money you can give, there's things you can do, right? And it makes a difference, but you're not just making a connection. Let me be clear, right? You're doing more than that. You are making impact. You're creating impact for and one of the words that I usually use is generational impact.
Yeah.
And that right there, sir, is what you're doing. And I'm very impressed. And I appreciate you doing that, and you taking so many great things there.
And I hope that someone out here is listening to this and wants to mimic and do better than what I've done. That's always my thing. And we haven't even talked about the kids, man. Like when I go down there and I go to the schools that we support, my goodness, they put red carpets, man. And they're like, I'm like, I don't need any of this. But the love and the support through the years, it does two things. It keeps me humble. But it motivates me. My goodness, the fire inside my heart to want to do better, because my success is not mine, Nehemiah Cerritos, or my wife's, or my kids. My success is my people's success. I loved going to meetings at the beginning of my career in this industry and saying I'm from El Salvador, and people would be like, oh, dangerous, oh, this, oh, man. And now I talk about El Salvador and they're like, I want to go there. I've heard great things about it, And I've been going there when it was bad, when it was dangerous. And I invited you. The first thing I did is, Gino, I invite you to go to El Salvador, right? 5 years ago. And now you're there. And I'm proud of you for being there. And now you're giving opportunities to Salvadorian youth. And you've met some phenomenal youth. I've introduced you to some of them. And I'm proud. Like I always say, people sometimes just need that one opportunity. And when that one opportunity is given, magical things can happen. Imagine if my parents wouldn't have come here, if I would have never received that opportunity, where would I be?
Exactly. Yeah. Those little things, right? It's like people take for granted, right? But it truly is, you are where you're supposed to be, and the impact you've made in people's lives is just unbelievable, right? Continue to do that. I mean, because the more you give, and you're not even expecting anything in return, right?
No.
The more it comes back, and you're like, I don't need anything. I'm just here to support. I'm just here to make a difference. I'm just here to make an impact, right? And to help somebody, like you said, hopefully they do the same thing, right? And multiply that, right?
Or be better than me. I challenge and I want everybody to be better,
Truly, kind leadership right there, and super proud of you and all your success that you've done, and I've been, like I said, there twice already, and I've experienced it personally of the hunger and the drive for success, right? For wanting an opportunity. Give me an opportunity and I'll get there and I'll make it happen, right? I've seen it. I've experienced it, right? That's why we're investing a lot and expanding. And I know it's what it was 10 years ago is nothing compared to what it is now.
Yeah.
Very safe. I can, personal experience, I can say, if you want to go, beautiful beaches, there's a restaurant that I love to go every time I go there. Seafood, oh man, it's delicious.
and the pupusas, right?
Oh man, don't start talking about that, man.
I should have brought some this morning.
It's there's a little town, I can't remember that, right before the airport. Oloquilta. And we had an early flight. We got there at 5:30 in the morning. And there's all these little tiny restaurants right before the airport. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I'd like to eat this earlier, but I usually like eat lunch or dinner for pupusa. But not like people eat it for breakfast. And I had the rice pupusa.
Oh, man.
With, one is revuelta with I think it's pork and chicharrón, right? And then, oh man, I'm getting hungry right now. And it was just amazing. It was one of the best pupusas I ever had in my life.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, you know what helped me get to become a chief growth officer in the government contracting industry? Pupusas.
Wow.
I started this trend where I would go to meetings, I would bring pupusas.
Wow. Okay.
And it just made such an easy conversation. They're like, what? Some people are like, I love this. Some people are like, what is this? But I introduce it and then we start talking. And next thing you know, successful meeting.
Beautiful.
Anyone out there, feel free to copy that because the more people know about El Salvador and pupusas, the better for me.
Yeah.
So.
And that's an easy one. Like for me, I'm from Peru. That one of the best is lomo saltado, which is like I can't take a big,
Yeah, and pupusas, you take a handful of them, cut them, and then people love them. So.
I may do it with empanadas. I may do that some Peruvian empanadas and do the same thing. We'll see how it goes. But I got a few more questions before we wrap it up because this has been amazing conversation, Nemo. I do want to talk a little bit about adversity. We talked about growth mindset and stuff like that, but from an adversity perspective, we'd love to hear something that, in your experience that you've been able to navigate through the personality, through a kind leadership and how you've gone through that experience and made it better.
For me, it's easy in regards to always having empathy, always being able to think. I mean, coming from my background, right? Like, okay, given second chances is so easy for me, right? Or trusting in others becomes natural for me. But that could also be taken up the wrong way, and it could hurt you really bad. And one of the examples that I had is one of the times a few years back, I had a great relationship with my customer and a great relationship with my employee. But my employee always thought of me of the kind leader and the comfort zone. And I wouldn't ever be able to tell her otherwise that she's doing wrong, right? And the customer started noticing some changes and did not like it. And I would come to her and talk to her and let her know, hey, we got to make changes. But she's like, she wouldn't take me serious. And that's when I'm like, okay, it was a learning lesson for me, right? It's like, okay, what's going on? And I sat down and I was like, okay, I need to be very clear. This is what's happening right now.
Right.
And I understand your point of view, and I hope you understand the customer's point of view. But if things don't change, it could go the other way, and you may not be here anymore.
Right.
And it's such a. I'm sure you've had multiple of these conversations, and people often don't talk about those hard decisions you need to make.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, what I did was I noticed that it wasn't going to change. Mm-hmm. And before it became a chaotic problem or a huge problem, I went out to the customer, provided a solution for my customer, and I went out and I provided a solution for my employee. I found another opportunity that helped her be as free as she wanted to with her amazing skills. And then I provided a better solution for the customer at the time that was going to be able to bring someone that was going to not be closed-minded in that perspective, but be able to continue that mission. So we were able to save two.
Right.
My relationship with my customer and my relationship with my employee at the time. But it's tough because often you want to be able to, you have to be the messenger.
Right. Right.
And that's when it becomes difficult at times. I hope it makes sense.
Absolutely. And what I'm thinking is you're always looking at the way you are, right? It's a win-win.
Yes. If it's not a win-win, I feel terrible.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people hear that, right? It's, oh man, this person is no good. We got to get rid of her, or him or her or whatever, right? And we don't pause for a second. What's going on? Maybe it's the dynamics. Maybe this person is in the wrong bus, or maybe it's in the wrong seat in the bus, right? I don't know if you heard Good to Great and Jim Collins in the book. And we don't pause for a second, and maybe this person is going to do much better and flourish in other position and not get stuck in this where the dynamics and the energy is not there for them.
Yeah, and it's easy to blame that one person, especially in recruiting. I've always seen this, right? It's easy to. By the way, I wanted to add that. Thank you for bringing that up. This person went on to succeed in that next project.
I bet. Yeah.
She succeeded tremendously, and then the person that came on board, it was great, and it was like nothing ever happened.
Exactly.
Right? It's like you're right. Like it's like a puzzle sometimes. We're playing puzzles, right? Like, or chess, right? You got to make the right move. But just because you're stuck in there, it doesn't define you that moment, right? You got to be able to improve or provide solutions.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, it was a win-win. There's been moments where it's been a LL no matter what, or a L win, and you gotta take it in and not take it personal.
Right,
as well.
right.
So,
And it's communicate, right? Communication is what builds relationships. I was talking to somebody about that, and it's hard sometimes. People don't want to say the wrong things to hurt others or start telling themselves stories about that situation. So just be honest, look at the win-win, and things tend to work out.
Yeah.
You know,
from one way or another.
From my experience, for sure. So I appreciate that story. I know it happens a lot in many situations, and that's one of the best ways to kind of really navigate and expand that. So. Talking about the vision of future leaders, you know, as they're either coming up or as we're seeing, you know, with this podcast, right, this movement of kind leadership, leading with empathy, you know, what do you think? What is the vision? What do we need to do more? Or what do you recommend?
We need more of this podcast, you know. I definitely, the world is changing, technology is changing, and I'm hoping that future leaders don't forget where they come from. Mm-hmm. I hope that future leaders realize that sometimes it's not the employee or the person or the project, it's the customer, it's the team, it's the environment, and you have to make decisions to overcome those. Right. Often leadership forgets that the true engine,
right, is the people. Yeah.
And you have to look at yourself as a leader before you judge or make a decision on an employee, if that makes sense. Right. Am I providing the right resources? Am I providing the right tools? Am I being as available as I need to? Should I have someone be there to provide that support? And we need more empathetic. We need more outside of the box leaders, mm-hmm. kind leaders. Absolutely. That provide comfort and that provide motivation. Right. You know, I hope that this future generation coming along is able to bring all of those qualities. And I hope, and again, leader is not title. Mm-hmm. Leader is personality, yep. is attitude. It's
exactly. You don't have to have the title, the director or the executive or whatever.
Exactly. Right? You can be a leader like that. I think that's the key. And I hope that that our future generation, including myself, right? I need to continue to improve and continue to do better. Yeah. We remain humble, feet on the ground, mission mm-hmm. focused. And I love what my boss always says, and you say it too, right? Money will come. Yep. The mission is first. Exactly. Let's take care of that. Right. You know, and then it helps develop new leaders. And it's not just the future generation, it's the current generation. Right. It's up to us to help build new leaders. Exactly. Yeah. If we're not building new leaders, then our future has no leaders.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing here, right? And I'm sure when people hear this, you know, what you're doing, you know, with El Salvador and the things you've done, they can see themselves also emulating and start doing to that. Right?
I pray that's the case.
That absolutely. So thank you for sharing that, and that is an amazing vision, and that's what we have. Right? It's not about, like we said, money. It's not about technology. It's not about all those different things. Your company and what we're doing here at Bravo too. It's really about creating an environment and a platform to create kind leaders. Right? The vision, I don't know if I share with you, is to attract and create kind leaders that are impacting our customers, partners, and communities. Yes. That's the vision for Bravo.
Yeah, and it's easier said than done, but Absolutely. It really takes a true leader to be able to own it, mm-hmm. live it, and share it.
Absolutely.
You know, and let those leaders, future leaders, current leaders, yep. blossom with their new ideas. You know, because I often think that I have my very unique way of talking and interacting, mm-hmm. but I thank my bosses and my leaders throughout my career that have let me be, Absolutely. That have let me say buenos dias as a first thing to a customer, that have let me brought in the pupusas, you know, because it's a different way. My way is not always the right way. Right. There's other ways out there. And the Absolutely. Minute you realize that, you let that leader grow. Yep. And you let that person become who they're going to become. Absolutely. Because often leaders are the ones that block that person. Yeah. Oh, you cannot do this or you cannot do that. It's tough. Yeah.
And that's where, we can keep, have a different conversation as it relates to that, because that's not who we are. And we do need to continue to communicate this and train and awareness, really. Yeah. The biggest things, the last thing I want to say as it relates to that before we go into the last question here is leading with empathy is not just caring, right? I heard this morning. I was listening to something. It's the mind and heart coherence. You ever heard that? Meaning like people lead with the mind and they're only focused about the materialistic.
Yeah.
You and I and others that I've had in this podcast lead with the heart.
Yeah.
Combined with the mind, right? The heart and mind coherence, meaning like how collective those two things, those two energies and how we are we can make better decisions rather than just making it about monetary or physical stuff.
No, and that's key. And often people are afraid or are scared to combine those two.
Yeah.
Love, kindness, heart, and decisions. Yeah. Oh, don't put your heart in. No, I'm putting my heart 1,000% in it. And if I fail, I'm failing because I made what I believe is the right decision.
Exactly. Well, one question is, if you could have coffee with anyone alive or from the past, who would it be and why?
I was waiting for this question, Gino. And I'm going to get a bit emotional, but I respect and I understand why people take this question the way they do, and they usually choose, philosophers and artists and famous people. I'd love to have coffee with my grandma. And I did it. I was there for her, and through the years, she knew exactly where I was going and what I was doing. It's funny, she didn't speak English, and she didn't know a thing about, I don't even think she knew how to turn on a computer. So what I'm trying to say here, she had no idea of this technology and everything that I was doing. But throughout my career, when I had issues, I would call her. When I had success, I would call her. And she left last May. She passed, and I miss her dearly. And I just want to have coffee with her one more time and just thank her for everything that she did to me, for me. And those that are listening, if you have a loved one that had spent time and was there for you, it's great to have, artists and famous people as those icons that you want to go and meet one day. But the loved ones that took care of you are the ones that made you who you are. And I'm blessed to say I gave my grandmother everything that I could. I was there for her 2 years, traveling every week to El Salvador, taking care of her. I'd love to go back and have coffee one more time with her and let her know that her hard work paid off. And I am forever thankful for that. And I want to share that with my daughters and my future generations. So I'd love to have coffee with her one more time.
Man, I appreciate you sharing that. That's amazing. I'm sure she is very proud of everything you've accomplished and more, and what you continue to do, man. Continue to make an impact and continue to make her proud and your parents feel proud. I'm proud.
Gracias, Gino. Thank you so much.
No, I love, like I said, I love everything you've done and what you continue to do, and I can't wait to see all the amazing impact you will do.
We will flip many tortillas.
Absolutely.
We will flip many tortillas. And as my grandmother would say, that is a grandmother taught me that is, if the tortilla is burning, you got to flip it. If it burns, you don't eat.
Yeah.
In life, as a leader, you are given many problems and many situations where it's going downhill. And if you don't fix it, you're not going to be able to eat.
Yeah.
You have to think outside the tortilla. You have to think outside the box to flip it.
Amazing.
Use your hands, spatula, whatever you need to, you know what I'm saying? But life is full of moments.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, it goes by way too quick. And losing my grandmother made me realize that. Yeah. But be there for your loved ones. Be there for those that have been there for you. And if I may, I want to say please. One quick thing is, gracias, ma. Y gracias, papá. Y mi hermano y a mi esposa, Belkis. Gracias, familia. En El Salvador. Los amo mucho. I know that my family in El Salvador are going to be listening to this, so I wanted to give them a shout out, and I wanted to give my mom and dad and my brother and my wife a shout out as well.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad we were
very emotional, Gino. I
love it, man. I feel it. I love it. Well, thank you, Nemo, for joining us and really sharing your background and being not only humble but vulnerable. Right? This is not easy to share this kind of stuff, and that's what kind leadership's about, right? It's about sharing and leading with that kindness and being humble all the time, and you represent that. So I'm very, like I said, I can't continue to say so proud and excited to be part of your life as well, and I know we're gonna continue to make, like you said, flip tortillas, right?
Yes. I thank you, Gino and Bravo, for believing in me and for not just through this podcast, but through the years. You've also been there for me and believed in me in many ways. So, and thank you for the partners and everyone that's always been there for me. And I look forward to, continuing to shine away and work together and grind together and win together, right? And go to El Salvador, all of us together, and celebrate.
There you go. So. Beautiful. So where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, they want to connect with me on LinkedIn at Nehemiah Cerritos. That's my professional platform. Okay. They can find me there. And then on Instagram as well, at Nehemiah Cerritos as well, if they want to connect with me. But for young professionals that are listening to this, I'm one call away. I am always there available for anyone that wants to get into government contracting or become a professional and don't know how to start. I am always there to give advice because I had to do it by myself and it was tough moments, right? But I wish I had someone that could say, hey, this is what I did. This is what I didn't do. And God did put some angels on my way that helped, right? But yeah, I'm there for those that need any type of talking or advice. Okay. I'm there for people.
Beautiful. I know you are. I know you will. Excellent. Well, again, thank you again for joining us. And I want to thank our audience for listening. I know this one, it's going to be a little longer, but it's really impactful. And I really want people to understand that there are kind leaders out there and they will continue to create and attract them and really make an impact in this world. Right? Generational impact. That's where we go and that's what we're doing. So.
Exactly. Exactly. Your hard work will change the future generations. Believe that. Thank you, Gino.
Yeah,
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. And with that, I'll leave you with be kind, bring value, rise together. Have an amazing day, everybody.